And are your phones all silent?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yours just moved on.
Probably not, because I was watching you
My
guys this
phone
morning.
So you're a Periscope person, and we're getting some people saying to us that they're not getting their notifications. It doesn't whistle.
Mine went off this morning.
Yours is fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Hi, everybody on Periscope. Look at this handsome family. Look at them all wearing their Vax shirts, looking great. I'm gonna get. So why don't you tell everyone who you are?
Shannon Strayhorn.
And you are.
Malia Strayhorn,
How old are you?
10.
10. And you are.
Callie Strayhorn, 13.
And the story is about you, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And you are.
I'm Josh Strayhorn.
All right. Great. And you are Team
TMR.
Team TMR.
Thinking
I always find it
Mums.
really hard to say that. It's like Team TMR. So we love Thinking Mums.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for all the work that you do. So who's going to tell the story?
Go for it.
I guess I can start it. We had a normal pregnancy, full-term baby, happy, healthy, breastfed at first, and then I had surgery. And then we went to formula, and we started having digestive issues. After that, and we kept vaccinating. Kept taking her to the doctor, doing normal things.
Did you even question that?
No clue.
So you just handed your baby over?
Just handed the baby over. The pediatrician that we had was my family's third generation going to this doctor, so we fully trusted him. Didn't think anything about it. Took her in. She was very upset that day, and I just kept saying, "You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay." And then, of course, it wasn't okay.
So
this would have been at 14 months. It was for her 12-month shots, but they didn't have anybody. They didn't have any openings then, so we were at 14 months. After that, she came home. We didn't see nothing right off the bat. We didn't have the seizures, we had fever and the things that they tell you are normal. Didn't think much about it. And then...
Did you do the old Tylenol?
Oh, of course.
Of
Of course.
You have to do the Tylenol, right?
Because that's what we're told to do.
Right.
And then after that, it was nonstop screaming. And for 3 years, 16 hours a day, nonstop screaming, throwing herself into walls, self-injury.
Did she lose her
lost of
speech?
skill.
Absolutely.
Lost her speech. She
Do you
had
remember
words already.
any? You were
I
only
can't
very...
remember anything, really.
Which is probably better.
Yeah, I can't remember a single thing. I just remember, from 2010 up till this part. Up until 2016. Not very much. I can't remember a whole lot about it.
Okay. So did you go back to your doctor and say, we have a problem?
We did. We kept going back to the doctor, and the doctor kept saying, some of the kids, she's going to catch up, and this is normal, and basically we have no idea, but everything's okay, just keep coming back. And every time they would write on her medical records, she's fine, healthy, happy. The only thing that did change was her head size. And I kept saying, no, there's something wrong every time. And it got to the point that his mother, my mother-in-law, went with me to the pediatrician because she kept saying something is wrong and they will not listen to you. And I said, I know, I keep telling them this. And so we went in, we took her to the pediatrician that day, and when the doctor walked into the room, she flipped out, screaming, and hiding in the corner. And he talked briefly, trying to speak over her screaming, and then ended up leaving out of the room and said, I'll be back. And he didn't come back for a few minutes. My mother-in-law took her outside trying to calm her down, and I sat in the room by myself. And then he came back and just handed me a card and said, you need to call the neurologist today. I already put in a call to him. Go ahead and get an appointment and get in there. Never told me what was going on. It was finally the breaking point. He's like, oh yeah, there is something wrong with her. And so that's what we did. So he never gave us a diagnosis. We had to go to the neurologist, and the neurologist is the one who finally gave her an autism diagnosis.
And so, I know these are silly questions, but I have to ask them.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the word vaccine, what was the response from any of these people?
Nothing.
No.
Nothing, ever. In fact...
We said this is when it started. It was right after this vaccine. And they were just like, well, that can't be it. So let's move on to the next possible thing. they thought maybe she had hearing loss because she wasn't responding. So they would make noises behind her head to see if she would respond to their, if she would turn, and it wasn't that either. So that was part of the. Whenever we went to the neurologist, that was what the neurologist was trying. I think he was trying to rule out other options, but that was one of the things that he thought it might have been. But
No, I mean, we've all lived the hearing loss.
Right.
right.
I mean, I hate to tell you, but
Yeah.
all of our MMR stories are exactly
Right.
the same.
And then when we went back to, fast forward many years, we moved to California. Dr. Bob was our pediatrician, and he requested all of our old medical records. And that was the first time that I had seen exactly what was written in our medical records. And it said right there, encephalopathy, and it was right after the MMR. I mean, it was clear as can be. And so all this time, many doctors over, they still kept saying, yes, you need to vaccinate, you need to keep going, nothing's wrong, it just was absurd. And this was, we had that her original pediatrician, never saw him again. We went to another doctor, and he was a very nice old man, very respectful of our choices and stuff at the time. Didn't say much about it, but he was very nice. He retired, and they brought in another lady. And this lady was a nut. As nice as I can say it, she was a nut. We sat down in the room and waited. She came in the room and she said, I see your daughter's behind on her vaccinations. And before I could even say anything, I said, I have questions. That's all I said. I didn't say no. I didn't say anything. I said, I have questions. And she started screaming, like screaming at me. And it was just me and Callie there. And I literally grabbed her like this, like, stay away from my kid. And
What was she screaming?
she was screaming, you parents have no idea. I vaccinate all the time. She told me, she said, I've given 16 vaccines in one visit before. And at this point, I hadn't even said no.
She's screaming because you're just about to ruin her bonus paycheck.
Right, that's exactly what it was. So I start to get up, I grab my purse and grab my daughter still kind of behind my back, and she says, she gets up and she says, I'm sorry. Here, come here, give me a hug. And I'm looking at her like, are you nuts? And she's blocking the door. And I'm like, I'm not giving this lady a hug. Just get me out of here. Get me and my kid out of here. And she says, well, I'll tell you what. She's like, we're going to make a deal here. She's like, I'm going to do a titers test for you. And then when it comes back, then you'll see that she needs that MMR, so you're going to get the MMR. And at that point, I was thinking, well, if I can get the titers test, at least then I can say she don't need this. She said, nobody comes back immune. And so I said, okay, fine. Well, so we go do the lab. I call back to the office and they say her titers are back. She's immune. She doesn't need anything else. And
Surprise.
I say, right. And I say, I'm coming up to the office to get her records. I'll be there at whatever time you guys want me. They give me a time. I come up there and they refuse to give me her records. No, wouldn't give me the lab report, wouldn't tell me anything. And I said, get the doctor out here. I'm not leaving this office without it. And so they say, okay, well, here's your records. And I said, now I want my medical exemption. And I wanted to say that she does not need this vaccine again. And she refused. The doctor would never come back out.
Who is this doctor? Tell me she's not still practicing.
She's still
Oh,
practicing.
I'm sure she is.
And this is what she did. This is my...
Let me see this piece of paper.
This is our
Does
medical...
it have her name on it?
Yeah.
Good. Where is it?
Down here.
What a wicked thing.
This is our medical exemption. This is a copy, obviously, but this is our medical exemption from back then. And she filled it out, and I could have just turned it in, but then she wrote this in the side.
What's it say?
Mom refused MMR. Well, of course I refused the MMR. She doesn't need the MMR.
You know what, people, you have to stay away from these people. You can't just stay away. They're so evil.
Yeah, I mean, there's no logic to
I don't know
it.
if you can see that. I don't know what that says. That name says. It looks to me like it says Sharon?
It's Sharon something, but
Sharon. Tim? Osk?
And she's here in St. Louis. So. St.
She's in,
Charles
St. Louis,
She's
yeah.
in the St. Charles area.
Well, please stay away from that person, everybody.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so then what happened?
So I finally got the medical exemption, and we fired her and never saw her again. I mean, there's no question. I wouldn't have gone back to her no matter what the lab reports had said. That just wasn't going to happen. her neurologist in Missouri, the neurologist actually handles the autism part of things. So the pediatrician is separate from all that. He told us she'll never speak, she'll never have friends, she'll never do anything. The same thing that everybody hears.
She needs to be in
Never
an
live a life with
institution.
purpose.
Right.
She needs to live in an institution. She will never have friends, and she will be a threat to herself and others if she continues to stay in the home.
And he gave me a piece of paper, or he gave us a piece of paper the first time we went, that said, do not look at heavy metals, do not try diet, he gave us a list and
Of
sent it
things
home with
to
us.
not to do.
To not check into anything, basically.
Why?
That's
Because
a
we're all
really good
crazy
question.
moms, there's no reason to it. So
That's
for
terrible.
the first year or so, I just listened to him. I just said, okay, well, he's a neurologist. Surely he knows more than me. So we listened to him. We did nothing. We went into therapy and followed all the rules. And then I met a father at the airport. I was working in travel at the time. And the dad, I had a group of kids leaving with their parents on like spring break. And this father was there, and he was kind of overhearing a conversation we were having about how she was doing at the time. There was a special education mom there. And he overheard the conversation. He walked over and he said, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt." And I'm thinking his child's lost their luggage or they're late, who knows, something. And he says, "That's my daughter over there, and she's in your group." And I knew this group very well. It was only like 10 girls. Private school. She was going away to college on a full ride scholarship. She's standing there with her boyfriend and this cute little group of girls.
On her way to Mexico.
On her way to Mexico.
Unsupervised.
Living life. And I thought, are you kidding me? And he said, she was just like your daughter. He said, please.
And how old was she at this time?
She was 3.
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah. And I said, okay. And he said, you got to talk to my wife. He said, I can't tell you everything. My wife did it. But you got to talk to my wife. She did all these alternative things like changing her diet and all this stuff. And I said, okay. And then it got busy and everybody went their own way and they took off on their plane. And I went into the parking lot and just cried because that's the first time somebody said,
That's hope.
there's hope.
Things can change.
And also, it's a realization that you've been
You're not
lied
the only
to.
one out.
You have been lied
Right.
to
Yeah.
so much.
Right.
You not only have they damaged your daughter, they then tell you there's nothing can be done.
Right, the neurologist is saying nothing can be done to help this kid and just stick her in the institution. And then this dad saying this kid could have a life if they would just address what's going on. And as you can see, she doesn't
Well, so
help,
yeah,
you know.
you are amazing, and it must be very tough to listen to all of this. But
Yeah, since this is the first time I'm really knowing a lot about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that we may have told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
A lot.
but the most important thing is that it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
It's sitting in this area, and it should never have happened. And look
Yeah.
how wonderful you're a real hope to everybody.
Yep.
So tell us about yourself. Do you go to school?
I am homeschooled,
Homeschool.
and I go to co-ops, and I have a bunch of friends at my co-ops. Kind of do drama too. I love acting,
Fantastic.
and love classical films. I love Disney. I'm very Disney addicted.
And what do you like, the princesses or?
I just like everything.
She's like
I've seen
classic.
almost every single Disney movie. I'm only missing 2 Disney
including
movies.
the really bad ones.
Yeah.
She's seen all
Yes. The bad ones, the sequels, the midquels, I've seen it all.
Have you been to Disneyland and Disney
of them.
World?
Of course.
And done all of that? Well, maybe you'll work at Disney one day. Who
That's
knows?
her goal.
Yep,
That's what she
that'd
wants to
be an
do.
awesome job.
Bella, my daughter, used to want to be a princess on the float at Disney.
That she would have made a good
Yeah.
princess. She looks like it. Yep.
So you're such an inspiration. Now, are there any sort of struggles that you have? Is there anything that you want to talk about that's not quite right still?
I still got some brain issues, and I still have to have a diet, but I think that's it.
So you're on the gluten.
Gluten,
Casein.
casein, and all of that stuff. And she knows, she's very good about self-advocating and saying, I'm having a bad day, my brain's a little wacky, I need some time. She does it.
Yeah.
She manages it herself.
She's very
so.
good at self-advocating and saying when things aren't right and need to be changed. So
Yeah.
Good for you. And now you. What happened? So what's your situation? When did Mum stop vaccinating you?
She would probably remember.
No.
Remember.
A baby.
So you
Yeah.
hardly had any.
No, she's has not had many and won't have any more.
No, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? Once you realise what's actually happened.
Right. Yeah, and yeah.
Now you write a lot, don't you? Where can people follow you?
Thinking Mom's Revolution. That's probably
So,
the
so
biggest.
guys, if you go to Thinking Mum's Revolution, and how would you sign up?
You can follow on the page. You can sign up. There's a lot of ways to do it, but
And remember when you all met Lisa Goes, the Goes family, we did their story. They're all part of the same group, and they're a really strong group.
yeah,
So join them.
yes.
Right. Do we have anything else we want to talk about on this story? You're just doing so
Just that
well.
there is hope.
Yeah,
and, you know,
there's hope.
everybody has to find their own path.
And
but-
everybody needs to keep. I mean, she's the exception to the rule. We know that there is hope, but our kids need the appropriate care at the appropriate time, and we need to stop doing this over and over because not all kids. This is not the outcome of all of our kids. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, we are very lucky, but I mean, as you can see, looking around the bus, some of these kids they're not surviving. She's surviving, and we're thankful for that. But we do what we do because of all the other families. We can't just, okay, she's good, we walk away. Everybody has to keep going because we're all in this together. It's just,
Sometimes that's the hardest part.
yeah.
Because it'd be real easy to walk away. It'd be easy just to say, okay, well, we got ours fixed, you know, and but you can't ignore all the other
No.
millions of children who are being hurt every day. It's terrible.
So, what do you say to the parents that were us, those that still think, well, I'm really sorry that happened to you, but my doctor is a doctor, he's got a medical degree, and he says that I should do this.
They're crazy. That's what our doctor said.
Yeah.
Every one of us have the same story. We trusted our doctors. We trusted them with everything, with our most valuable possessions here. You know, everything that we care about, we said we trust you with. And every single one of those doctors has no response now. There's nothing to say. I mean, what do you say when we bring these kids back in? Then they don't know what to say. Then they're ready to get us out of the office. There is no response then. So it really does fall on the doctors, the medical professionals. You know, it's got to start at the beginning. The schools. You know, you take classes, any kind of medical class, and you either don't learn, or what you learn is such a skewed view of what's really happening. So I mean, I get mad at this point because now the doctors have to know. They have to know what's going on.
But they're ignoring it.
Right.
There's no excuse.
Right.
No, and one of the things I'll say, and I'm not, you know, I'm just saying it because it's true. Go see the movie Vaxxed. Seriously, watch the movie and form your own opinion. But there's something going on, and the doctors are culpable, the government's culpable, the CDC's culpable. So if you at least inform yourself a little bit, maybe it'll open your mind to the other possibilities that are out there. You know.
Yeah, we have to change the system from the bottom up. I mean, or the up down. I don't know.
Top down, I think,
yeah, I'm
no.
not sure which way it goes, but every single thing is it's just corrupted. I mean, this shouldn't be. Honestly, if they had told me at the time and said, okay, so this is what happened to your daughter, and we're going to be honest with you, and maybe you didn't read the insert, which I was, of course, given, but maybe you didn't know, but this is an unfortunate thing that happens, you know, and we're going to do whatever we can to help you, and I probably would have been, okay, well, that's an awful thing, but she is that 1 in a million. But knowing she's not 1 in a million, knowing that they did know what could happen, all of these things makes it very different. I probably would have kept vaccinating. I probably would have said, okay, just no MMR. But it's all a lie.
How tired are you as parents of hearing this particular line? But the scientific studies say there's no
So,
connection.
I don't even have words. I just say, okay, well, I can make a scientific study say anything I want it to say. So any scientific study can be flawed.
Right, what's Vaxxed?
right.
So I mean, or lean one direction or another. So I you know, they say the science is in. I say show me the science, and I'll disprove it for you.
It's laughable. It's
It
laughable.
really is.
You know?
Well, I just want to thank you guys because I know you do a lot of work as a family for our community.
and thank you guys.
Yeah.
The community is not Autism World anymore. We've joined forces with Vaccine Injury. We are all in one big group
Yes.
now, and so we're powerful, we're strong, and we are winning.
Yes, we are, and
And-
it's gonna crumble. It's crumbling now. It's all
We're
crumbling
closing
now.
in.
Yes, we are.
All right, guys. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful family. Wonderful you. Wonderful you. You didn't say very much.
Which is very strange because she's the one who likes to be on the other side
Do
of the
you?
camera.
What's your favourite thing that you like to do? Horses?
Art?
I'm making it up.
Art.
Adopting?
Probably
you're
art.
an artist.
Yeah.
Good. We always need new artists in this world. Wonderful. All right, family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Periscope, we'll
Thank
be
you for
back
coming here.
with more stories.